Alright, good afternoon everybody. We are Group 1 and today we're going to be talking about how different sources of financial literacy affect one's overall well-being. To begin with, I'm going to do a little bit of an activity. I'm going to count 1 through 7, and if you land on 7, go ahead and stand up for me. Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3. Alright, all of you standing, I am so sorry to tell you, but you are going to feel very financially stressed after you graduate. And to put it on a larger scale, this is going to also combine with the fact that 400,000 students every year are also going to feel financially stressed. As an I'm sorry gift, we have some candy to kind of help you guys get through this presentation, because I know we are all, very excited to keep going.
Thank you.
Alright, this is everything we're going to be going over today. Share with your tables.
Big Eddie.
And then we're going to move on to our literature review, everything we found with that, and then we're going to get to that sample and survey plan, and then lastly we'll go over our results and the implications.
Alright, so starting with our scope and relevance, like we said, we are investigating how different sources of financial knowledge impact students' financial well-being and their levels of literacy. This is important because universities can use this to understand where they can improve their curriculum and how to leave their students better off as they graduate. So talk about formal versus informal. Formal is going to include college and high school classes, while informal is kind of everything else, which is family, friends, online resources, and books or other sources.
So our research question was, how does learning financial literacy from different sources, formal and informal, affect students' financial well-being? This just focuses on how different financial literacy sources affect a student's financial decision-making, stability, and their overall knowledge.
Going into our literature review, we're going to start off with just a definition of what financial literacy is. Overall, it is the ability to make informed decisions about one's money, and it encompasses topics such as savings, retirement planning, budgeting. And while it can be observed that people do learn how to money manage as they go into their adulthood, only 88% of graduates still felt unprepared financially, even though financial literacy will help them obtain their goals. The first aspect of our literature review is going to include formal sources such as high school and college. So we'll start off with high school classes. This is one of the most researched sources of financial education, and the effects of it when taught in high school are detectable way after graduation. But even though there is a lot of research showing how good these courses are in high school, only 17% of U.S. adults stated that they actually took a financial class in high school. The second aspect is going to be our formal classes in college. So two of the most common situations that college students find themselves in once they're entering is going to be credit cards and student loans. And learning to avoid the pitfalls of these along with other financial topics is pretty essential to your overall financial well-being and just your mental well-being in general. Even though there is a lot of research showing how productive it is, only 17 out of 50 states actually require personal finance courses to graduate, as shown by the states highlighted in blue. And then, as stated in our introduction, there's only 70% of college students are actually going to feel stressed after graduating. Moving on to our informal sources, it is one of the least researched aspects of financial literacy, even though it is one of the most impactful is what we thought on. Kids learn the foundation of their knowledge as they're growing up, right? This includes your opinions, your perspectives, and your habits, along with your financial habits. And it left us with a pretty big opportunity to tap into an unresearched section.
Alrighty, and then moving on to our hypotheses, we've got 3. So the first one, informal and formal sources affect financial literacy levels differently. And our second one, informal and formal sources affect financial stability levels differently. And then lastly, informal and formal sources affect what financial activities students participate in.
So moving into our survey plan, our survey objective was first to identify students' financial literacy sources, and then how those sources affect their overall financial literacy understanding.
So this is what's our survey method. Here's a video of our survey. We used multiple choice, short answer, and Likert skill questions. We distributed it over Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as just like a reference from friends. And participants were entered into a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card as an incentive.
So for our task breakdown, the first week we designed our survey questions. We found our objective and our target demographic. And And then for the week 2, we piloted a test to 10 different students at Northern Michigan, and then we collected and analyzed that data for week 3. And then week 4, we distributed a new survey to 300 plus participants through social media such as LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Instagram. And then for week 5, we collected and analyzed those results, and then we created a report. And moving into our sample plan, our target population was only college students at Northern Michigan University, and so that age group is between 18 and 27 years old, just because Northern has undergraduate and graduate programs. But there's going to have varied psychographic variables for these students, such as different fields of study, living on and off campus, and other factors.
So now onto our sampling method. We have mentioned this, but it was convenient sampling, and we used social media such as Instagram, LinkedIn, and Snapchat. And a little bit about our process. We first started by posting it on social media, and then a few of us sent it to professors who were willing to share it in class and also have their classes submit those, and then we reposted it on social media one more time so we could get the number of respondents we desired.
So this is an overview of our data that was collected. As we said, it's an online survey with 18 questions. It was focused on financial literacy, financial well-being, and sources of financial literacy. And after cleaning the data, we had 358 respondents. When we cleaned the data, we took away too short or too long time to take the survey, people that weren't from NMU, and people that didn't complete the survey. So these are some of the demographics, I guess, of people that responded to our survey. So our biggest percentage of people that we had the largest percentage of people coming from the senior class, so 34%, and the largest two colleges from NMU was art and science and business, and most of our respondents had a GPA from 3.5 to 4.0. We also looked at the total income before taxes in the last 12 months, and as you can see, it goes from the most percentage to least percentage when it comes to the least amount of money to the highest amount of money, which is expected coming from a college and college students. And with frequency of percentage of ethnicity, we mostly had white or Caucasian people, and our second largest group was Spanish, Hispanic, or Latino origin.
Alrighty, and then moving on to behaviors and attitudes. So we found that students feel financially stable some of the time. This was our most frequent response, with 31.6% of students saying that. And then we found that parents and family are the most impactful on financial literacy, with 59% of students saying that they agree or strongly agree with that statement. And then we found that investing is not a main focus. So students are more likely to be focused on immediate financial stability over long-term wealth building, like investing. And then why did we choose the t-test? The main purpose of the t-test is to compare the means of two groups to determine if there's a statistically significant difference or not. And we can apply the t-test to all of our hypotheses, like informal versus formal financial behavior, informal versus formal financial literacy, and then different financial activities. So we chose the t-test to accurately identify if differences that we found were significant or just due to random chance.
Okay, so into the fun part of analyzing data, our first hypothesis was informal and formal sources affect financial literacy levels differently. As you can see, it was statistically significant, which was fun. It found that informal financial literacy sources had statistically significant lower financial literacy scores than formal financial literacy sources. Our next one was informal and formal sources affect financial stability levels differently. This was also statistically significant, with informal financial literacy sources having lower financial stability score than formal financial literacy sources. And lastly, we looked at informal and formal sources affect what financial activities students participate in. So as you can see, this list correlates with these different numbers, 1 through 8. And so not all of these were statistically significant, only 3 out of the 8 were. These were the 3 that were significant. So with budgeting, we found that informal financial literacy sources had higher participation in budgeting activities than formal. For checking accounts, we found that informal financial literacy sources had lower participation in checking account activities compared to formal. And for personal loans, we found that informal financial literacy source had lower participation in personal loan activities compared to formal. With only 3 out of the 8 being statistically significant, we kind of found that our third hypothesis wasn't significant overall. This is a chart of the 3 statistically significant activities, and as you can see, they're pretty like similar across the board, so that's another thing that kind of contributed.
Going into our implications and results, overall our results showed that learning financial knowledge from informal sources such as your parents, your friends, podcasts, or YouTube or other sources such as books didn't lead to an overall lower financial well-being score and financial literacy score than when compared to formal sources such as college courses or high school courses. These results highlighted the need for formal financial education, and by making these classes mandatory for all majors, including high schools, and students should be receiving a comprehensive and thorough education that's actually going to help them prepare them for the real world. I feel like a lot of us when we're graduating, we sometimes feel that a lot of the things that we are learning aren't actually pertaining to the future, and these financial courses would provide or would meet the growing demand for practical education. And businesses can start meeting this demand by integrating or expanding upon those financial courses as mentioned earlier and making them mandatory for all students. Additionally, they can partner with different banks or financial advisors to host workshops that are going to create a larger number of financially stable students in the future. And high schools and colleges can then use these statistics from these previously graduated students to kind of show how impactful their courses were and in turn the overall quality of the school, which can then be used as a possible recruiting tool to show the actual value proposition of these courses to influence parents and students to kind of choose their own universities. Just to conclude, we all know that costs are rising, we're all spending probably more money than we want to, and so is the demand for financial skills. We should be normalizing financial education to kind of satisfy this demand and help kind of better prepare us as we go into adulthood or real adulthood. Students should become more cautious when making decisions because they will actually understand the consequences of their financial actions. I know I would have made different choices than I did freshman year when it came to my money, and I think a lot of us would too. And by not only emphasizing mandatory courses, but emphasizing courses that actually have, is taught by good professors and are actually ensuring that their students understand what's going on is really important. All right, thank you. Any questions?